Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Apothecary and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Books My Boyfriend Gave Me Wheel of Time reading vlog, this time for Towers of Midnight, which is book 13, just the penultimate book of the Wheel of Time series. I've just started in the prologue. First we get a little snippet from Leol and the Dragon Reborn book that he's been writing, and it just set my heart aflutter. I love him so much. So the prologue starts off with Lan riding, to his death in the last battle. We know that Nynaeve went about and ordered all of his old soldiers to go and find him and made Lan promise that anyone that wished to ride with him he couldn't refuse. And he came across this young man who was just a boy the last time he saw him 20 years ago, and he says he's lost his family. He has no one left, but he would ride with Lan in honor of his dad if Lan allows him. And Lan first tries to refuse him and then accepts and says, "We ride anonymously. Tell no one who we are, who I am, and wear that with pride." So it's a kind of a melancholy way of starting this book. I am really interested to see where this goes, and of course excited to be so much that closer to the end of Wheel of Time, seeing where all of this leads us to. We had one heck of an ending from The Gathering Storm, so I'm hoping that we pick up with that quickly here. We'll see. So I'm up through chapter 3 now in Towers of Midnight, book 13 of the Wheel of Time series, and in this last chapter, Rand went to the White Tower and confronted Egwene and then walked out. And Egwene has realized that there's something different about Rand that she can't control, and she needs to bring in Elaine and Nynaeve to help her, and things are starting to get crazy now. Gareth Bryn said that Rand reminded him of an Aes Sedai in the way that he carried himself and appeared, and that feels like it's something very important. I'm really interested to see how Egwene can balance trying to control the Dragon Reborn while it's still Rand, also her childhood friend, and trying to bring in Nynaeve and Elaine into this. We haven't even seen Elaine in the last book, really. So it's been since book 11 since we really saw Elaine in any kind of sense, and she was pregnant with Rand's babies. So this is going to be really interesting to see going forward. Up through chapter 15 now of Towers of Midnight, and something important has happened here. Nynaeve has discovered that she can heal the madness in the Ashaman, at least part of the madness. She can see darkness, and now she can use her delving, her healing, to heal the madness. She was able to heal one of Rand's Ashamans, and she tried to heal Rand's madness, but it wouldn't work. But she can heal some of them, and that is huge because Aes Sedai, for hundreds of years, have been trying to figure out how to do this. And Nynaeve is the one that can do it, and that is an exciting revelation. So, update for Towers of Midnight. I'm up through chapter 19 now. I know it's been a slow reading month. It's been very, very busy. I've had not a lot of time to read, but I am reading now, and I'm up through chapter 19, like I said, Towers of Midnight. What has happened that I wanted to check in on? 3 things from two different chapters, really. So Fael has kind of made a deal with Berlain that they will pretend to be friends to dispel rumors about Berlane and Perrin while Faye was kidnapped. They're basically like sworn enemies, but they're doing things in the like southern passive aggressive way. Berlane has convinced Faye that this is the only way that the rumors will truly be dispelled. So they're off doing that without telling Perrin at all. Matt and Tom and the band are in Camelin. They've finally met with Elaine. We find out from the general as they're going up to see Queen Elaine that there have been all sorts of rumors about Matt. Some are true, some were not true, some were partly true. Matt did his best to confirm the one that he can confirm, but deny most of the rest. Some he's denied that were true, but one about him with the Dark Lord, he does not want to admit that at all. He went to see Elaine about materials to build essentially what are described as like cannons. They call them dragons. After some bickering back and forth and negotiating, Elaine has agreed to provide materials to build these cannons on the stipulations that the Red Band, Matt's band, is contracted to Elaine and Camelin and will do Elaine's bidding essentially. But they are the only ones that can use these cannons. The cannons will belong to Elaine and Andor. But once Matt and the band leave and end their contract, they get one of the cannons. And Elaine has agreed to this. And so there's that. And then at the very end of that chapter, she hands Tom a rolled up piece of parchment, which is a essentially proclamation that if Tom accepts, he will become Andor's court bard, and he can come and go as he wants, but he will be the court's bard. He's considering this as they walk away, and Elaine goes to meet the midwife appointment. Tom chuckles because he tells Matt that on the top of the parchment was written a pardon for any and all crimes that have been committed or may be committed. And that's kind of Elaine sweetening the pot for Tom. So I loved that chapter. Chapter 19 was great, which is weird for me to say because I haven't been the biggest Elaine fan, but I loved seeing Elaine and Matt go back and forth. They were hilarious. They were like a brother and sister. It was fantastic. So I'm going to get back to reading, and hopefully I'll have more to check in on very soon. So I have another check-in for Towers of Midnight. I know it's been a long time. I'm up through chapter 23, and a lot has happened. In this chapter, there was an assassination attempt on Egwene, and it was one of the Forsaken, and Gawain got in the way, and Egwene and Gawain got in a fight. Gawain said, "Sounds like you don't want a warder," and Egwene says, "Well, you're kind of right." And so he's left. He's going to see Elaine in Andor. Elaine, on the other hand, has copied Matt's medallion. She used the power to disguise herself as one of the Forsaken to interrogate some dark sisters, Black Ajas, that she's captured in the cells, and more dark friends come in while she's interrogating. She learns that there's going to be an attack on Andor, and then more dark friends come in. They see her ploy, they attack her, she defends herself, and then she's stabbed by someone, Molar, that she thought she could trust. He heals her. He has one of the sisters heal her So she's healed, and then Brigitte and Matt come along. Elaine also learns that, of course, the Forsaken are after Matt. She doesn't know why, but she now knows this, and things are about to get really crazy in Andor, and it sounds like Gawain is about to arrive just in time for the craziness. So, that's kind of where we're at now, and it's just been insane. Up through chapter 36 now in Towers of Midnight, and things are starting to really pick up here. So Egwene has just met with the Windfinders and the Wise Ones and is attempting to strike a deal with them, saying that they will send 2 of their best women to the White Tower, and the White Tower will then send 2 of their best accepted to both groups, and both groups will be able to keep the Tangreals that they have been lent by Egwene and the White Tower. And this would be huge in the history of this world. I am really excited to see where this goes from here. At the very end of Egwene's part of this chapter, Suan came running in, all disheveled, saying that the battle has started. I'm not sure which battle this is. Can't be the last battle yet. We've still got a whole other book to go. But some kind of battle has started. Egwene was expecting eavesdroppers, and instead Suan said they just came straight out fighting. And so things are getting really, really crazy, and it sounds like Perrin is now on his way to the White Tower with this dome thing that contains them and stops them from creating gateways out to escape. He had intended to either kill Slayer or destroy this rod that creates this dome, so that way his people can create gateways to get away from the White Cloaks and prepare for the last battle. However, Slayer is much better than Perrin had ever imagined, and he can't escape him. He can't outrun him, and so now apparently he's going to the White Tower with this. I am interested to see where all of this ends up. Up through chapter 38 now in Towers of Midnight, and this is one of the few chapters, one of the first chapters in this book that's really gotten me going, wow. So a couple of things. Egwene fought Messiana in the Telonreal, the dream world, and she defeated her. Gawain learned that the assassins that were after Egwene were not the Forsaken, that Egwene is now after literally at the same time. He's learning this. He goes to the White Tower to try to tell Egwene this, and she is in the dream world. He defends her while she sleeps in the dream world, and he is severely wounded. She bonds with him to save his life. He is now his warder, her warder, and she says, I want you to be my warder. I want you to be my husband. They tell each other they love him, and that's that. Perrin loses Hopper for a second time now, and I can't believe that I got tears over that damn wolf again. He and all of his people escape through gateways after he battles Slayer, and he's injured too, and it's just like everyone's injured now. We end the chapter with Grendel and a messenger that she has. She says to spring the trap. She's talking about how Perrin Ibarra is Taviran and a very strong one. And she is really determined to take him down. So I'm interested to see where this book continues to go. I have about 240 pages left, so still a good chunk of it. That's like another book, basically. And then I still have to get to Memory of Light, which I know I'm way behind on now. Like, I've been reading this book since I think February. I was supposed to read Memory of Light in March, so way behind, but we'll get there eventually, and everything will be fine. Okay, so chapter 47. Perrin and Fael bring Morgase back to Andor, escort her back to Andor. They essentially make a deal with Elaine that in exchange for Morgase's safety and return, Elaine is to give the 2 rivers to Rand, who then will appoint Perrin the High Lord. And when Perrin and Fael have kids, they will, one of the kids will inherit the 2 rivers, because Fael is second in line for her whole rule. And the other kid, should they have more than one kid, will be encouraged to marry one of Elaine's kids. So that was interesting. And then Perrin met up with Matt and Tom, and that was so good to see them back together. I loved that scene, but at the very end, Matt revealed that Moraine is still alive and in the Tower of Genji, and she wrote Tom a letter explaining all this, saying that only 3 people could go. Matt is obviously going. He knows who the 3 people are because Moraine explained it, and it's not Perrin and it's not Oliver, and that, I can't wait to hear that story. Matt's gonna tell Perrin the whole story. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this book goes. So that's it for now, and we'll just keep pushing on. So apparently a common occurrence for me is finishing reading vlogs once I start them. I forget to finish the end and check in after I finish the book, and I just move on to the next book. So here we are, like a month later, no, more than that, several months later. I'm about to finish the last book in this series, A Memory of Light, and I'm editing this reading vlog for Towers of Midnight that I forgot I hadn't edited and posted yet, and I did not finish the reading vlog. So I don't remember much about what I felt like at the end of this book other than what I see in my review. There were some parts that I loved and some parts drug for me. A lot of the book felt like, okay, let's just get through this to get to the next and the final book. And excuse my voice now because I've been sick and I just had to film this really quickly. So I ended up giving Towers of Midnight 4 out of 5 stars. Pacing was my biggest concern, and I'm loving A Memory of Light, and I can't wait to see how this all ends.